It is Sunday, the 14th of May, excuse me, 2017. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church in Montreal, engaged in my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalists' injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy. And because the sidewalks are wet today, I won't be doing any chalk slogans. I'd actually been hoping to put down some interesting chalk slogans this morning, but I guess it'll have to wait. There have been some developments in the larger Unitarian Universalist religious community regarding clergy sexual misconduct issues, and I will start talking about those as I circulate back and forth with a couple of picket signs. Back in 2012, if not a little earlier, Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church in Austin, Texas, discovered that they had a bit of a problem with their female Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Eliza Gallagher. That's Eliza with a Z. And Gallagher is G-A-L-A-H-E-R. So a simplified spelling of what many people would perceive as Gallagher. In any case, it came to light that Eliza Gallagher had, or Gallagher, perhaps I should say, had what former U.S. President Bill Clinton would describe as sexual relations with a woman, as I understand it, a female member of the Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church. Indeed, according to the Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church's official description of what happened, a married female, actually they don't give the sex in their description. They just say a married member of Wildflower, if I remember correctly, leaving the people to guess, and most people would assume a husband, people assuming heterosexuality, I guess. So in any case, they dealt with that situation, and I don't think they dealt with it perfectly, but they made a serious effort to deal with that situation in a fairly reasonable way from what I can tell. And by that I mean that they actually did at one point have quite extensive written material about what happened and how it was handled on the Wildflower Church website, or possibly a website associated with Wildflower Church. That basically gave quite a lot of information about what happened and how it was handled. And I actually went to look at that information about a week ago and discovered that it wasn't there anymore. It had just disappeared. And so I went to the search function of the church website. They have a little search bar on the main page, possibly even all pages, but certainly on the main page there's a little search function, and I just typed in Eliza Gallagher to see what information was available. Good day.
No, I'm late for work.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess she wanted to have a chat. She sort of came up to me and then she said she was late for work, so I guess she wanted to find out more about the protest. But anyway, getting back to a free and responsible search for meaning, which it appears that this young lady had been hoping to embark on until she realized she was late for work. All of the material that spoke about Reverend Eliza Gallagher's sexual misconduct and how it was handled by Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church and the Unitarian Universalist Association just had disappeared, and so I ran this search on Eliza Gallagher in the church's website, and literally nothing came up. Like, there was zero reference to Eliza Gallagher on the Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church website at all, at least in terms of what could be found with a simple, straightforward search for Eliza Gallagher in the church website's search function. So all of the material that had previously been available, which I thought was a progressive and in some ways even courageous step taken by Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church in terms of being transparent about clergy misconduct matters, it was all gone. It just wasn't there anymore. And so I started Googling around, and I was able to find one of the recent minutes of the Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church board meetings, in fact the April meeting, so meeting of just a month or so ago, in which they were discussing whether or not they should report Reverend Eliza Gallagher's sexual misconduct to the Austin Police Department. So this is like 2017, it's April 2017, and here we have the board of Wildflower Church basically, actually they weren't even debating, they had put that debate off to the May meeting, which was May 10th, and the minutes for that meeting have not been made public yet. But the whole point is, this is like 5 years after Reverend Eliza Gallagher's clergy sexual misconduct came to light, that the leadership of Wildflower Church are going, oh, maybe we should report this to the police. Now, obviously, there must have been similar debates in the past, I would assume. Maybe not. Maybe they were stunningly naive or something. But I'm assuming, that there were such debates in the past, and the answer always came back, no, we're not going to do that. But here they were reopening that question, and I still don't know what the results are. And this is actually a question that I had. One of the things that concerned me about how the case had in fact been handled or mishandled by Wildflower and or the Unitarian Universalist Association is to my knowledge, Reverend Eliza Gallagher's clergy sexual misconduct had not been reported to the police. There was no evidence of that. And this was of some concern to me, not because I felt that Reverend Gallagher's clergy sexual misconduct was of a criminal nature per se, but certain states in the United States of America actually have laws which make it mandatory to report clergy sexual misconduct cases to the police. And I have a feeling Texas might be one of those states. To be honest, I haven't actually totally verified that yet, but I had intended to do that. I had intended to look into the situation and essentially, bring it to the attention of the appropriate secular authorities, as it were, in Texas and even outside of Texas, of this case of clergy sexual misconduct that apparently had not been reported to the police if you know, Texas was one of those states where reporting is mandatory. So this has already been on my mind for some time now, actually. I've been a little bit slow getting around to it, but I actually did intend to do so in the first half of this year. And we're getting towards the end of the first half of this year. So in a way it was kind of good that I could see that the leadership of Wildflower were actually asking themselves this question, and that they were going to come to some decision on Wednesday, May 10th, which was just 4 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to wait and see how they go. I'll at least wait until the May 10th board meeting before directly approaching Wildflower Church leadership to find out what exactly is or is not going on. But because I was rather annoyed by the total memory holding of everything about Eliza Gallagher's clergy sexual misconduct, okay, here comes the church musician of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. So we're just going to interrupt this. So she points to this tiny little poster down at the bottom of the oh yeah, it's her and her husband. So she's announcing this poster, and she's basically, oh, this is going to be great. She gives me that little you know, par excellence sign or whatever it is. So yes, it's her husband, trombonist Matthew Russell, and Sandra Hunt, piano, both of whom are totally complicit in all of the injustices and abuses and hypocrisies that I've been protesting against outside the Unitarian Church of Montreal for the better part of 20 years now. We'll get to that in a second, but we'll come back to the whole Reverend Eliza Gallagher situation, because I was like kind of pissed off that there was zero information about Reverend Eliza Gallagher found in a search of the website of the Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church. Although it's possible that its search function was unable to find one or two things, you know, such as the board meeting minutes, which were on the internet, and which did mention Reverend Eliza Gallagher. But I suspect the reason that they couldn't find them is because they're PDF files, and they may not be able to search the PDF files. They can only search, you know, what's on the actual web pages, so that may be why I didn't find that. But the point being is all of the material that had been up, all of this, you know, very good information about what had happened and how it had been handled. I'm not saying perfect information, because as I said, there are some questions about how it was handled, but it was all gone, and that annoys me, because Unitarian Universalists covering up and hiding clergy abuse of any kind, but clergy sexual abuse of the worst kind in particular, just annoys me. I mean, I've been subjected to legal bullying, seeking to intimidate me and removing blog posts that tell the truth about such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by certain Unitarian Universalist ministers, to borrow two choice phrases from the cease and desist demand letters that the UUA's Canadian attorney had me served with in June of 2012. Yes, the 5th anniversary of that's coming up very soon. And it's kind of interesting that that legal bullying actually took place right around the time that Reverend Eliza Gallagher's clergy sexual misconduct came to light. And there are some questions. There are some questions now. I mean, there always were. You know, it was always, well, you know, how much of what they're putting out there is the, you know, the whole truth, as it were. How is it possible that they're hiding stuff? And based on what I've seen just in the last week or so, there are some questions to be asked. Because on the one hand, the official history of the Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church says that after an investigation by the Unitarian Universalist Association's Ministerial Fellowship Committee, which is essentially charged with dealing with clergy misconduct discipline. Reverend Eliza Gallagher resigned as a Unitarian Universalist minister. In other words, she was not defellowshipped, defrocked by the Unitarian Universalist Association, but avoided that by resigning her fellowship, I believe. So she didn't just resign as the minister of Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church. She'd already done that in the past, back in 2012 actually, although apparently not in relation to her clergy sexual misconduct, although that's another question. Basically, Reverend Eliza Gallagher did resign, and apparently the pretext was, oh, well, it's so she can move on to doing more direct social justice work. And then, months later, this clergy sexual misconduct stuff comes out in the open. So the question is, well, why did she resign exactly in the first place? But anyway, getting back to what the official story of Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church says, it says that Reverend Eliza Gallagher resigned her standing as Unitarian Universalist Association minister because it had been found that she had sexualized her relationship with a married member. So in other words, she'd had sexual relations with a married member of Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church. So they're basically saying there was just one victim. Well, I'm not so sure about that. And the board meeting minutes raised some serious questions. The board meeting minutes